Hello and welcome to the Can't Move podcast post-match reaction. I'm your host Dan Rolinson, and I fear my microphone's a little bit too loud, so do let me know in the comments if that is the case, and I'll change it. Mat Kendrick, how's things?
I'm all right. Your microphone doesn't sound loud to me. It sounds like your usual velvety tones that kind of massage
mate.
my ears on a cold winter's day.
Oh, lovely. I'll get that on my CV or something, I think. Not that I'm looking for another job. Don't worry. Aston Villa 1, West Ham 1. We're here to talk about that for the next 20 to 30 minutes. We always say we'll try and keep it tight, but I really want to keep it tight this time. Firstly, it's Sunday night. We're doing a Q&A tomorrow, Celtic preview Tuesday, Celtic post-match Wednesday. There's a lot going on. A lot of people want us to talk about transfers. I've had 2 or 3 tweets, I think from the same person, saying, talk about Monchi signings. I get it. Not now. Maybe on the Q&A tomorrow we'll talk about was the summer a failure and all that kind of stuff. We've spent 80 million on Maatsen and Onana and they're not good enough or don't play. Now, honestly, is not the time. I want to talk about West Ham. I want to talk about Duran Mings. I want to talk about Unai Emery's post-match press conference comments. So let's get into it. This podcast is, of course, sponsored by NordVPN, and in the top line of the description, you can get the best discount code available. Now, I thought we'd started pretty well. I was really excited about the game. We scored early, which is unusual for Villa going ahead, taking the lead. And I thought this might be just one of those games, Matt, where we are 2 up at half time, 3 up, really comfortable, nice, lovely afternoon at Villa Park where Villa are in control and put a couple of goals past a team that we are better than on paper or on the league table. And very quickly, 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in, we knew that was not going to be the case. It was still 1-0, but just the tone of the performance changed, that Villa looked sharp and relatively free-flowing to begin with, and all of a sudden, that disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, we've been crying out for us to score that first goal. Ironically,
I don't like it. I'd rather come from behind.
Well, yeah. Well, if you end up winning it, I mean, it did feel like a bit like a defeat in the end, I thought, but perhaps I'll get over it. But yeah, I agree with you. It's like the Harlem Globetrotters in full flow for the first 10 or 15 minutes. We scored the goal. Thought it was a brilliant goal, which we can talk about in a minute. And we looked really, really up for it and really on the front foot. And you thought, well, actually, there's a chance of us, putting this game to bed by half time. We could be 2 or 3 goals up. And then I think 2 things happened. I think obviously the Mings injury disrupted us in terms of, we down to the bare bones, literally. Well, not literally, but down to the bare bones in terms of central defenders now. So that's something that we're going to have to look at addressing fairly quickly. So the Mings injury has disrupted it. And it feels like a bit of a cop-out, blaming referees, but I thought the refereeing performance was so pernickety and so I don't know, it was almost like we'd all been invited to the Peter Banks show, an audience with. And I just thought, listen, it's not the referee's job to make sure that we can continue in full flow, but it's the referee's job to let the game flow, I think. And I just think it became a little bit of a scruffy, ragged game, which probably suited them a little bit more.
That will always suit the away side, won't it? Who are, coming to Villa Park and getting a point is a good result for West Ham, I would suggest. So for it to be scrappy and bitty suits the away side and curtails any rhythm Villa might find. Let's get the referee excuses out of the way early doors, because for me that is a massive factor on how this evening's gone, to be honest. Absolutely not blaming the referee for why there's so much space at the back post for us to concede another goal on that side of the pitch. Not excusing why we don't take our chances, why we don't create chances would be a nice starting point. Why not blaming the referee for us not making maybe the correct substitutions at the right time? Whatever it might be, there are reasons for why the result ended up the way it did. But the kind of bitty, frustrating, stop-start nature of the performance is absolutely part down to the referee, because he's the one that's blowing the whistle. And for things that are, that should have been a foul, but it's carried on. That's not a foul, but it is a foul. Just really, really strange not being able to play advantage when we've got the ball in a semi-decent position on the halfway line, I think, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, we don't know where we are as a fan base in this game because of the referee, so the players don't really know what is allowed and what isn't, and having that lack of grip on the game, essentially, I think was mainly or definitely exacerbated with the Paqueta stuff just before half time. just absolutely lost control of the situation. And from then on, Paqueta is the pantomime villain. Fine, play that role. You go for it, mate. But the referee's got to stop all that kind of nonsense. And it just snowballed. And as I say, I'm not blaming, was it Peter Banks you say? Don't frankly care who the referees are because they're all as bad as each other. But I don't pay whatever money I pay for my season ticket to go and watch referees try and become the centre of attention. And that's what it feels like time after time, that the referees shouldn't be any part of these podcasts or chats down the pub or Twitter threads or whatever it is. The referee shouldn't be mentioned in any of it because they're irrelevant. I don't want to know their name. I don't want to know. I don't want to notice them. I don't want to praise them or berate them. They should just be there like the grass is. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. I'm there to watch the players. I'm there to watch Villa play, and the referee getting involved and getting in the way of that, really frustrating.
Yeah, I think Villa and the referee probably both lost control of the game at the same time, to be honest. And there were some like ridiculous moments. And listen, Villa didn't play well enough. So even if the referee would have been one of those brilliant referees who were, kind of not seen and not heard, then Villa's performance would have still had to have gone up a level.
I actually don't think we deserved anything, by the way. We didn't deserve to win. I think we were lucky to even get the point. So I'm not saying the referee is the cause for that, but it just, as a fan going to that game, felt really crap, unenjoyable to witness what we saw. And I think the referee was a part of that. Not the sole reason, but a part of it.
Yeah, I was probably, the more the game went on, I probably was thinking, let's just have the point and put it, stick it on the board, and then we'll go into Celtic and we'll go to Wolves next week. I've just been looking down the comments. Rob Henry made an interesting point here about Emery's touchline ban leading to a lack of composure and cohesion after the bright start. And listen, the players should be well drilled enough and under Emery and have, trained and gone to so many meetings about their own shape and their own tactics and the opposition that they shouldn't need. It's a bit like, when you're at school and the teacher goes out the room for a couple of minutes and everybody starts like throwing blackboard rubbers at each other and paper airplanes and that kind of thing. You shouldn't need the kind of teacher or the headmaster there on the sidelines. They should be well behaved enough.
I actually thought it was going to go the other way after the way we started. I thought it might be a little bit like, almost a bit like that. The gaffer's not here. The handbrake's off a little bit. Like I can maybe get away with a little bit because he's obviously still there. He's passing on instructions to the bench, but he's not the figure on the touchline barking at me. So maybe I can get away with a bit more. And started well, scored early, and I thought, handbrake's off here. Maybe Emery should do a John Gregory and stay up in the Trinity Road or wherever he was and have a different viewpoint of the game, and Villa will be better for it. And that quickly unwinded as well. It's like, no, bring Emery back. We need him. We need that structure and control. I don't know. It's just really irritating.
Well, obviously, I was in the ground, so I don't know where exactly he was sitting. I'm sure it was shown on the TV cameras, but I'm surprised he just didn't jack it off, at 30 minutes anyway, and just go home and just go and do something else instead.
Going down to get a drink at 30 minutes or something.
That's it, yeah. Just see him at the bar, can't you? I can't remember what we were saying. So Emery's absence, I think it was a factor, but I don't think it was the main factor. I don't think it should have been a factor.
No. I mean, Emery missing from the touchline is not the problem, is it? When the players that are on the pitch are the ones that are going missing. Too many performances of a standard that are not to the level that you need to win a game of football. And I don't think we necessarily need to go through the whole 11 and say which players were and weren't given it, but I think it's the usual names that have caused problems for me. I don't know. I don't know what to make of I think the result, by the way, I'm trying to kind of rationalise it as best I can. That looking at games in kind of couples or threes or whatever. I think if you were to win today and draw at Wolves, you'd say that was a decent run. You win at home and you draw away 4 points. If we flip that and go and win at Wolves, that's still the same amount of points. So I'll feel the same way about it. But the pressure is now on us to go to Wolves, which is not an easy thing to do, despite their where they are, and now win to get that 4 point couple. And also maybe just on the opposition, you obviously play everyone home and away. We won at their place. We drew here. If we drew there and won today, we still get 4 points out of West Ham. So I'm trying to rationalise just that game specifically, but performance nowhere near what we need. The levels are nowhere near what we need, and we can talk all we like about Champions League aspirations and top 5 or top 6, whatever. Villa's level has to raise massively, because if we keep putting in performances like we have done there, we're not getting anywhere near the top 8, never mind the top 5. And we all know that. We're all aware of it. I also am aware of that Villa can improve and can get better, and there is an opportunity still to secure that European football for next season, but not playing like that.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being realistic, I don't want to be the doom monger, but I'm not sure we're in the race for the top four anymore this season. I know that's ridiculous in the sense that there's a lot of football still to be played, but we are still in the FA Cup where we've got to the stage. We are going to be in the Champions League in some format. Let's see what Wednesday night brings. So the rigors of the fixture calendar aren't going to ease particularly. But I do think it's really important that we try and keep in touch with that kind of top six, really. Yeah. I think that still is achievable, and I think we've got enough quality, even when we're knackered and down to the bare bones. I think we've got enough quality to do that. But I think it's really important. We've joked in the past that winning the Champions League is the best way of getting back in the Champions League. But I think that now we've got the taste of European football, we don't want to lose that, do we? So even if, I'm sure the Europa League would feel like a downgrade on the Champions League, but I think the key thing is that we're staying in that top pack and we're getting European football consistently year on year.
Let's talk, before we get into the goal, which you can talk through in a second, the Tyrone Mings injury, which, again, felt like a really weird one. Certainly being in the stadium, that felt like we all felt what Tyrone Mings was going through. He clearly went down in some pain. Excuse me. Carried on. It was like, okay, well, he's not that bad then. But as soon as he twinged whatever he did, his knee or whatever it is, we still don't know yet. And Emery said that they'll have further scans, which I'll read his quotes in a sec. But we all felt like, oh no, this is bad. He's clearly visibly upset. And I get the sense of when that happens in a stadium, like it does have an effect on the crowd. Like I felt like, not to the levels of the Newcastle game when he was injured last time, because obviously we lost that game and it was what it was, but kind of felt a little bit like I'm distracted away from what's happening on the pitch now, because I want to know what's happening with Tyrone Mings. I don't know if you feel the same way, but like he's one of our own kind of, what's going on with him, what's happened. And then he comes out again and sits on the bench and he's smiling, putting his thumbs up. He's like, oh, is it even that bad there? Like, what? You're in tears, Judge. It felt really weird. And the comments from Emery afterwards, John has tapped out, if I can quickly scroll down and find it. It's a little bit broken English, but he says, after the first test we did, I think it is not a relevant injury for a long time. Tomorrow we will test again and better. We will know how important his injury is. We are positive. I was fearing like this could be like retirement territory, like if it's another bad one, like because he got it in him to come back again, like he knows something's gone wrong. Then he walks off the tunnel, walks back to sit down, looks all right, and then we said we're pretty positive. And is he back next week? Like, do you know what I mean? It's really weird. That felt like it had an impact in the stadium and on the players and everything.
All that days like that, Dan, haven't we? Where we're close to tears, and then you get your first drink down your neck, and you. Is
that what he was doing in the tunnel?
Everything's right. He was at the bar with Emery. That's what it was, and everything's right with the world again. It's one of those ones where he looked visibly distressed, didn't he? When he had to kind of give up and go off the pitch, he looked covering his face with his shirt, looked to be in some kind of distress. The thing that encouraged me, I think, was that if he'd have done, something really, really bad again, he wouldn't have been able to walk off the pitch. Well, and he certainly wouldn't have been able to walk back on and play for another 5 minutes. So he knows his own body, and, his knees are going to be delicate and sensitive, aren't they? So that's why I was surprised that he actually went back on. Yeah. To be honest, I know he's the warrior and he wants to lead and stuff like that. But I don't know what you understand from the subtext of what Emery's saying. Then, just that it's not as serious as we thought, but we need more tests to.
But potentially, maybe they'll uncover something in the following test that there is a problem. But I almost wonder whether Tyrone himself felt like, I've done something bad. I'm worried. I've done something bad. It's my knees again. That's where I felt some kind of pain. That's it. I've done something. And they've tested it and gone, you haven't actually. Like you've tweaked something, but you haven't done anything serious. And maybe he felt it was worse than it was. And the test will show that, oh yeah, you'll be out for 3 weeks. And that's pretty annoying and pretty bad in the very immediate short term. But maybe in his mind, he's thinking, "No, that's it. I'm out for the season, and this is a really bad one." I said exactly the same at the time. I messaged John actually about, "It can't be that bad." He walked off. Coming back on and playing a bit more certainly debunks the theory a bit, but walking off injured, I was like, "Oh, it can't be ACL or anything like that." He's walked off. And John was very quick, as he is, to remind me that Kamara and Trezeguet walked off after they did have ACL injuries. So the walking off thing isn't as big a deal as you would think. But at the time, you go, "Oh, he's walked off, he's fine." And John's like, "Oh, actually, mate, Kamara did the same."
So he's never seen a Tom Hanks film, but he's got a photographic catalogue memory of every ACL and how they
You've
left.
met John, haven't you?
I have met
that sounds
John.
Perfectly feasible, yeah.
Yeah, it does. We'll see. The fact that he came back out and he got a smile on his face suggests that either he's come to terms with it very quickly, or hopefully it's not as bad as we feared. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we're obviously in the market for a centre half now that Carlos has gone. I've said in the past that Luca Dean playing left of a 3 would be okay. Him playing left centre half worries me. I thought he did okay. But it's not the solution, is it?
No, I think a left back playing left centre back in a 3 it's not the same, but it's similar enough. A left back playing left centre back in a 2, he looked like a left back playing centre back to me. He did okay. It wasn't a disaster, wasn't a triumph moment. So I thought, he looks a bit shaky. And it sounds stupid, doesn't it? He's only a little bit further inside the pitch. Surely it's basically the same, but clearly it isn't. I was thinking, obviously Villa are going to sign a centre back. They've not let Diego Carlos go for no reason. And if they thought it was going to be Loic Bardet and that fell through, that changes things. But there'll be other targets. There's still, a week left or something. If they're going to do something, they've got to move pretty quickly. But I was thinking, if this is a bad one for Mings and it's a season ender, we need 2 centre-backs. Signing one won't be enough. Even if Mings is only out for a few weeks, I'm not suggesting we need another one. But if you've got Konsa, Torres is still out at the moment, Mings could be a month, say. You've got this new centre-back who's going to have to play immediately, and then beyond that, you've got nothing. So Villa potentially need 2 centre-halves anyway, maybe a permanent and a loan, because are you going to be putting Cash as a right centre-back or Dean as a left centre-back and kind of hoping for the best? It's not really what you want to be going with when you're competing for the competitions we want to be competing for. If we were kind of destined to finish mid-table, you go, let Dean have 3 or 4 games there, what have we got to lose? But we have got a lot to lose, so we have to kind of sort things quickly. And I trust Villa to do that, but as I say, they do have to move relatively quickly. And if that means coming down a target or 2, then so be it. That's January, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting though, isn't it, how Emery trusted Bogard last week away at Arsenal, title-chasing Arsenal, to come on and play in an unnatural position for him as defensive midfield, and he played really well. Yet he didn't trust him to come on and play centre half against West Ham. It's strange. I can't quite get my head around that. Now Emery will know, better than anybody why that was the case. But yeah, it can't be. I mean, how are we going to set up on Wednesday night? We're not going to sign a player by then, and they can't play in the Champions League even if we have.
Yeah, I know. So you're going to hope that Mings did just think, "Oh no, this is the worst thing ever." Well, actually, mate, no, you haven't. You're fine. You can play Wednesday, which is, I think, very unlikely. And if it did, I'd be wondering, why have you even gone off, mate? There's nothing wrong with you.
So I think it's when a toddler falls over or falls off a swing or whatever, and they think it's the worst thing in the world, and
the crowd react as well.
They're crying their eyes out, and then all you do is just kind of, get a cotton pad on that little grazed knee, blow a kiss, and then they're back happily playing again. So let's all send Tyrone our little kisses to his knees and see what that does.
I think the most likely scenario. I mean, let's say Mings is not available. Neither is Pau Torres. Diego Carlos obviously is no longer here. So we have Ezri Konsa. You're either going to have to play an actual centre-back from whatever youth options are registered for the Champions League, if it even works like that. You're going to have to play Dean there again, which I wouldn't be a massive fan of. Or you try something like Kamara at centre-back, because he has played there before when he was at Marseille or at youth level. And he has played the right centre-back role in a back 3 when Villa are in possession and all that kind of thing. So could he drop back 15 yards or whatever it is and play next to Konsa? Possibly. I would like to think maybe we have to be completely on the front foot against Celtic, not only because we have to win anyway, but also to try and negate. Well, if we're going to be a bit ropey at the back and concede 2 to Celtic against a makeshift defence, we're going to have to play attacking to score 3 or 4 to get through anyway. Let's not worry about who plays at the back. Let's just try and score loads of goals.
I've just got the idea of like kind of Tielemans and Ramsey and everybody who's playing midfield just booting it. No, don't let it get anywhere near the back four. Just smash it up a bit.
Hope for the best.
Can we have our NordVPN man of the match?
Oh, do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's everybody's favourite section. It's time for the Man of the Match award, and we're going to pick our top 3 in order. And if there wasn't 3 good players, it's a bit of tough isn't it?
I mean, this is all on you. I wasn't going to do this part.
Yeah, just still can't believe you've gone all sweary on the new voiceover for that. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be Wednesday night's central defensive duo for my man of the match, Kamara and Konsa. I thought those were my two standout players today.
Yeah, Konsa blocked one off the line, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought he played well, Konsa. He's having to be the kind of main man to usher Villa through. Kamara was just class again. Just that time when I think he won about 3 tackles in a row to
in the second
up an attack. And he's so calm. I think
he's so good at that, isn't he? He's like, it's very easy to pin like best footballer on an attacking player that contributes from a goal perspective and looks good on highlight reels and whatever else. But I think watching Villa for 90 minutes every single week, like we all do, hopefully here watching or listening, I think sneezing out. I think Boubacar Kamara is our best footballer by a long way, like most talented.
I don't know what you said, mate. I was just expelling snot from my nostril. Do you do? I know you're a young dad now. Do you do dad sneezes yet? Have you got to that stage?
Well, I really loud
do a real kind of.
I do that anyway. Cause when I used to live at home, you really wound up my sister. Like she'd hate it, so that would obviously make me do it more. So yeah, I'm a big loud sneezer. If I'm doing it on purpose, if I was sat on my own, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, my mum does these really pathetic sneezes where she doesn't commit to it and she stops it. I'm like, what are you doing? You're gonna like choke on that. Basically, you got to let it go. So,
that's like anyway, heading forward, isn't it, on an attack and then cutting back on themselves to play it back around the defence of it. Just get on with it.
That's it. Yeah, sneeze it into the net.
Kamara's very good, is what I said. Like, he's our best
I agree.
footballer.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we said pick 3. We don't have to pick 3. And I think this format falls down a little bit when Villa don't win. After Monaco, we picked 3 players that were like better than the others, rather than give them the 3-2-1 points like an F1 podium. We all just gave everybody 1 point and was like as a consolation. You're all right, but don't get carried away. So I'm happy to give 1 point to Kamara and Konsa. Is there anyone else that stands out?
I thought Ramsey was all right. I thought the goal. Might as well talk about
yeah.
Talk about the goal. I thought his touch for the goal when Watkins gave it him back to get it out of his feet and to commit the defender with that one touch was really class. I think that's what made the goal really, because it gave him that shooting angle.
Good give and go. Yeah,
I've seen a lot of people. I say a lot of people, that's probably an exaggeration, but seen a bit of conversation on social media in the last month or so saying, Ramsey's not the player that he was. And, if we need to cash in on somebody, why don't we cash in on him? He's homegrown and blah, 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 X amount profit, etc., etc. I think that underestimates what a good player he is, to be honest. I was a little bit frustrated. Listen, I don't think the second half, I think it was a bit... what's the word? Stop-start, a bit ragged and stuff anyway. So I don't think any Villa players, particularly in attacking sense, were that good. But I'm surprised that he took Rodgers and Ramsey off at the same time.
Yeah. I'm not surprised he took Rodgers off because, again, I thought he was faltering towards the end of his game time that we saw at Monaco, giving the ball away too easy. He just looks tired. He looks like he needs a rest, but I don't know when that rest can come at the moment because he'll need to play again on Wednesday. We'd like him to play again at Wolves. We want to beat Spurs in the FA Cup. So depending on how seriously we take the FA Cup, could he be rested there? That feels like a bit of an own goal to me as well. So I don't know where Rodgers' rest comes from, but he clearly needs it.
Yeah, but like I said, to take them both off, I thought was interesting at a time when McGinn's coming back from injury. Buendia still kind of flatters to deceive. I know he was better in midweek, but I still don't think Buendia is the answer in this team, and I still think he'll be gone within the next week. I thought, I'd have probably left Ramsey on there because I thought we didn't really have much of an attack. Didn't really have much of an attacking threat in the whole of the second half. I can't remember too many chances. But yeah, it was one of those ones where probably just glad, like I say, glad to see us at least take a point and then just forget it, consign it to history, and move on.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, if you beat Wolves, I would couple that as 4 points from those two games that I would have expected, just in the reverse order. It just puts that extra pressure on us.
Yeah, the only thing you got to do though to deliver that is to beat Wolves. You know, you're nearly there. You've got the draw. You need to go and beat Wolves.
Exactly. Yeah. As some kind of potential mitigating factors for Villa's sake, to kind of play devil's advocate on why it was a bit dull, boring, whatever word you want to go for. It's a lot of change during that game that I don't think really worked in any sense. Obviously, the Mings thing moves Dean into left centre back. Matson comes on, who I was really excited about and have been excited about, and still do think he will go on to be a good player for us. And wasn't good. Was not impressed by Matson at all. Didn't go forward hardly any amount that I would like him to, and just was well off it, I thought.
I think his confidence taking a bit of a hit. You know, I think obviously against Arsenal, he's given the ball away, hasn't he? And got hauled off at half time, and I think that's just knocked him
potentially
a little bit because he didn't quite seem the same. And I suppose it's an interesting thing, and I might be cutting him a bit too much slack here now. But when Mings goes off, and you know that you're playing alongside another left back who's unfamiliar to playing left centre half, does that inhibit Matson a little bit in terms of thinking, well, you know, maybe I need to hold back a little bit and to give him a bit of extra protection? But yeah, he's not. It's always the way, isn't it? The players are always better when they're not in the team, aren't they? You know, get him in the team. He's brilliant. Oh, get the next one in the team. I think there's a player there, obviously, you know, gone on about it before, but getting to the final of the Champions League, was he in the Champions League Team of the Year, etc., etc.
Yeah,
there's a player in there. Don't give up on him yet. I think he'll come good.
Still young, and he will be Villa's starting choice left back at some point because Luke Dean will not continue to keep putting in consistent performances and will eventually get too old to continue. So
he'll probably be Villa's starting left back on Wednesday. Actually, Luke Dean will be rolling it at centre half.
Yeah. And then the other change is that we've changed the entire front four as well, which isn't that unusual. But I mean, it's us trying to find something different to try and get something going. Marlon comes on, Bailey goes off, which I'm absolutely fine with. I was a little bit surprised Marlon didn't start. And I'm hoping that's just down to either we're trying to play Bailey into some kind of form because he has to play Wednesday, or that Marlon isn't fit enough to play more than 30 minutes or whatever it was. Emery said he was available for selection. That doesn't mean fit for 90 minutes. So maybe that was why. Rogers, I thought, was tired. Him coming off, don't mind it. But you've got Buendia coming on. The left side, who came on there? Buendia. Who else?
McGinn,
yes, sorry, of course. Yeah, good to see McGinn back, and you want to see him getting minutes. He will want to play on Wednesday night. So, again, I understand the changes. And Watkins for Duran, we spoke about it a million times. Duran needs game time. We want to keep him happy for whatever reason to make him show that we want to keep him, which we'll come on to some quotes from Emery in a sec about Duran. But I don't know, it just feels a bit like lots of changes. And then why are we shocked that we're seeing disjointed performances when 6 positions there are different throughout the course of the second half?
Yeah, you've just reminded me now of the West Ham fans chanting, "You should have signed for the West Ham." Why are they putting "the" in front of West Ham?
Should have signed for West Ham. Yeah, that still scans, doesn't it? You don't need the.
Yeah, just.
I mean, if they'd have stumped up the right cash that Villa wanted, you could have it.
Well, yeah, I think they probably have to double it now or treble it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can understand it. There was a lot of change in terms of Marlon. I thought there were a couple of signs. You know, his first touch of the ball.
He got the quick snapshot away, didn't he, that we heard about on our Marlon lowdown video pretty soon after coming on. I was like, oh, okay, something different, you know. Wasn't the best attempt ever, but it was just something different to what we're used to, and that kind of raised eyebrows a little bit. But, you know, largely because Villa didn't create much going forward, I don't think any of those changes really offered anything at all.
No, I don't think. I think West Ham kind of had the better of the last 20 minutes, say. Anyway, and if anything, it was trying to keep them at bay. Tell you what frustrated me frustrated me that, I mean, he's a good player anyway, Wan-Bissaka, and I think he probably got a bit of a harsh press in terms of being at a poor Manchester United side. But we're making him, he was dictating play, wasn't he? He seemed to have that much time on the ball, making things happen. And the goal that we conceded, it's just
so easy again, isn't it?
Yeah. Why aren't people checking the shoulders to see what's the other side of them?
Yeah.
I've said this before. I've never played football to any great standard, but I think defenders should always be paranoid, should always be looking and scanning and always fearing the worst. Because
Am I harsh to suggest that Martinez should maybe come for it as well?
I don't know. I don't think I've seen it back briefly, but I was probably frustrated that Matty Cash was caught out. I didn't really consider Martinez's position, but potentially. But even so, I think the ball we gave. I've not seen very often Villa being allowed to cross a ball from that angle unchallenged. Now, you probably could say, that one. But even then, I think I can't remember who crossed it, but I think he got longer to make up his mind. Nobody got out to him anywhere near quick enough.
Yeah.
But like you said, I think a draw was probably a fair result. I think they deserved a point, and I don't think we deserve more than a point.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And if we played for another 10 minutes, I think West Ham win. So we almost to a certain extent got away with one. Is how it felt to me anyway. I'm just looking at some quotes from Emery that John's posted out about John Duran. And we spoke about this on the preview yesterday from the embargoed quotes on Friday, where John asked about, is Emery frustrated by, he signed a new deal, Duran, like, why are we even still hearing noise about him leaving? And he didn't outright say, he's not for sale, let's just move on, we're focused on West Ham. It was a bit of a long-winded way of saying, we're focused on West Ham, but who knows after that was kind of the vibe. Today, there's been further questions from Sky if there are any circumstances in which it might make sense for Duran to leave Villa in the next week. Emery said, such circumstances, of course, in this moment are not helping us to be focusing 100%, but John Duran is our player and I am happy with him. I want him to be here with us. Then asked if he was desperate to keep Duran at Villa Park, a steely-eyed Emery added, I want him here. Which is a very different vibe to the Emery that John saw on Friday, for whatever reason. Talk to me about the Duran saga. Are we at that level yet? Probably not. But the will he, won't he, Saudi or PSG, Real Madrid, etc. Should we keep him? Should he be starting over Watkins? Yada, yada, yada. The floor is yours.
Can you do an impression of steely-eyed first? Ooh!
If you're an audio listener, go to YouTube and have a look at that. That was good, I reckon.
Oh, goodness, mate. What was the question? John Duran. I saw heard some quotes from Carragher. Was that from this afternoon or something, saying he thinks that Villa should flog Duran, get the money while they
try
can.
And get another 10 million or so than the West Ham offer, which would be 67 million, which would still be under Villa's valuation.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit of a hopeless romantic that would think that a team with the ambitions that we've got could carry both players, both in terms of the wage bill, PSR, and keeping both those players happy. I don't think, and you can clip this up and put it back out after deadline day next week when he's been sold. I don't think he's going to leave this window. I think the Duran, the hot-headed, impetuous Duran of last summer, I don't think he's been completely cured. I think there probably is still a little bit of that. And, I'm not sure whether his advisors have changed from last season and who the people are around him. But I think going into this summer, he will probably have more of a swagger about his own self-worth and, making sure that he wants to be the main man somewhere. So I think the summer could be a different proposition. I think we'll keep him. We'll keep him to the end of this, we'll keep him till the end of the season and then probably talk again. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think John tweeted something out the other day about Watkins' stats. Was it something like if he'd have...
I think it was 99 goal contributions.
So
it's 100 goal contributions now after today's assist in something like 170 games off the top of my head, which is obviously very good.
So, and probably not got the explosive excitement that Duran can bring, and probably not got the kind of technical ability and prowess of somebody like Isak. But I probably have still got another 3 or 4 years out of Watkins. And I think Duran, I would love to see how he develops with us, because I think he's going to be, I think whatever he does and whatever he goes on to achieve, I think he's going to be box office. And I think that we're lucky enough to have a front row seat at the moment. So I'm glad that Emery's come out with his, I'm going to say steely eyes, and you're going to do it, with his steely eyes.
Just feel like I've got a twitch in my eye when I do that. Is that steely? I would never, I don't think there's a situation where I would use that as a genuine, like I'm angry at you, I'm going to be steely eyed. Is that what it is, steely eyed, like as an angry thing? To me, that is what it means.
Well, I think we used to call
like I'm sick of your, he's not for sale.
Yeah, I don't know whether Wolf watches Peppa Pig.
No.
But there's one where Peppa Pig and the pig family have gone to the fun fair, and I think the moms, them big hammers where you have to show your strength.
Yeah.
I think she goes to do it, and either Daddy Pig or some other chauvinistic fair man or fair pig, he starts. Somebody mocks her, I think, and she gives this like real kind of.
Okay.
We used to call it dead eye. Let me see if I can do it. Hang on.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That looks like actually I'm dead though. So yeah, I wouldn't call it steely eye. I call it dead eye, I think.
Okay. I mean, I'm a big fan of people tuning into this podcast for West Ham analysis and hearing about Daddy Pig at the fairground. When was the last time you watched Peppa Pig? Your kids aren't that young.
Yeah, but they get to their own rooms now, don't they? So I can just watch it whenever.
Good. Oh, that was a little snort then, like a pig, for a little sound effect for those listening. God's sake.
You said 20 minutes. You said we're gonna finish after 20 minutes.
I know. We always do this, don't we? When it's live, we get carried away, so we get distracted or enhanced, maybe by the comments would be a better way of saying it. There was more to talk about than I thought. I thought we'd get to 20 minutes and go, oh God, just sack this off, shall we? What a load of rubbish. We got to Daddy Pig section, so clearly there was loads to talk about. We were on a good point there for something else, and I've lost train of it. So I am
talking about Emery and Duran, and Emery's kind of taking a tougher stance about Duran's our player, so bugger off.
Yeah. I get it, the Duran stuff. I'm not going to get into should we sell him, should we sign Cunha, should we sign anyone else, should we cash in while the money is there. As I say, we've got plenty of content coming up. The deadline day is next week, not this week, coming up, the next one. So we absolutely will talk about Duran in more detail if it gets to a level where it looks like he's definitely staying or he's definitely leaving. Paper speculation and agent talk, not bothered. And I get that if he is our player and we are keeping him, that you've got to keep him happy. You've got to give him minutes. You've got to give him game time somewhere. We spoke about, does Watkins play in the Premier League and Duran plays in the Champions League? And then Watkins just plays all the way through. So is he the main man now? And all these different things that are just general talking points. But I am, and this isn't solely a Duran thing, because I get the change. Watkins comes off, Duran comes on. I don't want to see them play together because I don't think it works. I think this might be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I'll see what the comments think. I'm a little bit fed up of seeing Watkins go off after an hour. I think it stunts what he's doing in the game as well. And that is obviously buoyed by the fact that Duran's come on and not done anything in his time to shine, obviously. But Watkins does the hard graft and does the work and stretches us. And even if it's just the case of, in a game that's poor, winning a throw-in like further up the pitch and getting us out a little bit, I feel like that's a Watkins thing to kind of drag us through a little bit. And seeing him come off, and he knows he's going to come off after the hour, pretty much. Obviously, he didn't the last couple of games, but generally speaking, Watkins absolutely comes off, and then Duran will replace him. And if he scores, Duran's the hero, even if maybe Watkins put in the work to tire the defence or whatever. It sounds like I'm making excuses for Watkins here, but it gets a little bit tiresome just knowing he's going to come off after an hour. Like, give him the game, see if he can get the crack at goal to win us the game. Am I going to be alone on that? Because everyone's waiting for Duran to come on and he's the box office, whereas I'm with the workhorse rather than the superstar.
This is our dynamic, though, isn't it? You do the graft, and then I'll come and come and steal the glory. I don't know. Dan, if you'd have been saying this when Duran was stepping off the bench and scoring the winning goal every week, I'd have probably I'd have probably had more trust in what you're saying. But it is a team game, so if Watkins is the one who's wearing them out and Duran is still in the glory, then so be it.
Yeah.
You know, I thought
Villa is who I'm more bothered about than the individuals. Obviously, if Villa winning games, then
I mean, Duran's had that one chance, hasn't he, where he looks like it's gone and then he's slid and he's just fired it wide. I don't know. I don't think Emery is somebody who would put somebody on the pitch to keep them happy if he didn't think that was the right thing for his football team in that moment. So as much as Duran probably would throw his toys out the pram if he wasn't getting, he had a lot more football this season than he had last season. But we've got to. This sounds like I'm having a dig at Watkins now, which I'm not. But he's got the assist. I think most of that goal was probably Ramsey's work, although Watkins did play it right back into his path. But did you think Watkins was going to score if he'd have stayed on for the 90?
No, not necessarily, because I didn't think Villa were creating anything of any note that we're in this game. I felt, like you said, that we're under the cosh from West Ham here, and the longer this game goes on, I'm almost going to take the point and run because I feel like we're going to throw it away. So I get the
You know what I
change.
mean, though? If sorry to cut across you, if he hadn't have made that change, people say, well, you've got Duran on the bench.
I know.
You're at home. You can't do right for doing wrong, can you, really, if you're Emery?
And there's a couple of comments asking us to talk about, Bailey. Kevin says Bailey getting a free pass. He was crap again, I thought. Said it, though, haven't we? Said it time and time again. I've not seen anything different from Bailey today to suggest that he's turned a corner or whatever. I was hoping his first Premier League goal in December was going to be the spark that would kind of reignite his season, and it's the same old, same old. I said at the start, I was surprised Marlon didn't start unless he wasn't fit enough to do so, and unless something different changes, like McGinn possibly replacing him on the right-hand side, which is possible. Bailey will play against Celtic, and we need Bailey. I'm sure he's still going to be here for the rest of the season. We will rely on him. He will score goals at some point, but he's just showing nowhere near the level required at the moment, Bailey. Not even close.
Yeah, it might be what you propose with the Watkins and Duran, that one plays like Marlon can't play in the Can he play in the next stage?
I'm still unsure. I think so, yes. If it's the playoff round you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can definitely play in the round of 16 onwards. I am 90% sure now he can play in the knockout playoff round as well.
Right, okay.
But UEFA's wording to me is a bit ambiguous, I think.
I like the way you say it. I thought you said UEFA's wording to me as if you've been on the phone.
Oh, I've been on the blower, yeah. I asked him personally.
Yeah, listen, the thing is with Bailey, he's now got some competition, and those below par performances that have kind of infected too much of the season. We've got an alternative now. I think Emery probably thought he did have an alternative in Philogene, but that didn't prove to be the case. Now, I think Marlon, it was a bit much asking him to come in and light up the place today. But I think we'll see the best one of whoever's in form out of those two will get the shirt, basically, and that in itself is an improvement from Bailey getting the shirt, regardless of how badly or how well he plays, really. So we've kind of done Bailey to death, haven't we? I think in the last couple of months.
Yeah, I think so. But then I always assume like everyone listens to every single podcast, but obviously they don't. This is the first time they've dropped in and going, we've done 40 minutes, I haven't even talked about Bailey yet. We do it every week, it feels like.
I think some fans do the Champions League podcast and some fans do the Premier League ones, and they just rotate, to be honest. So.
Is your next Villa voice note going to be Peppa Pig themed now? You're going to try and get some tenuous link between cartoons and Villa or something?
You just couldn't, I promise I'll do one eventually, Dan. Just leave me. Just leave me alone.
Right, I'm going to call it down there. I was about to say no kind of usual nonsense at the end from us, but plenty of it throughout. Oh, one thing very quickly, just in case the guy in front of me listens all the way through, still not sure on his name. We had a ball come very close to us today, which, considering where I sit, that's the first time it's been that close for years. You kind of think, it must happen from time to time. It doesn't. I wear glasses now for driving and whatnot, and I've started wearing them at the football because it's quite far away. Don't need them, but it's good. Anyway, before the game, I dropped my glasses case in the row in front and it went in a puddle, which was really annoying. Peppa Pig would have been all over it. And I said to the guy, can you just pass that for me, please? And he's like, I thought it was mine, but yeah, here you go, sound. And then, however long into the game, a ball comes flying our way. and I've got hands in pockets, glasses on, hat on. I'm in no position to like bat this away. And I was actually like, a little bit scared, like, oh, I'm going to get my glasses caved into my eyeballs or whatever. And it didn't come onto my seat, but it came into the guy in front, left in front, and he actually got a hand to it. My dad was gutted. It didn't go to him, obviously. And I tapped this guy on the shoulder and I was like, oh, first my glasses case. Now you've saved me with getting my glasses melded into my face. And he's like, oh, I wonder if that'll get me a podcast shout out. So there it is. If this guy, I still don't know his name, if you're still listening 45 minutes into this nonsense, there's your shout out, and thanks for saving me from getting metal blasted into my eyeballs.
Well, yeah, I think he saved the podcast. I think your guardian angel saved the podcast, because if you've got a patch over your eye, you wouldn't have been able to do those steely eyes, would you? So all well that ends well.
Well, now metal frame glasses, so I would have been very steely-eyed if they were blasted into me.
See what you've done there. I'm a big fan of that.
Rubbish that was. Right, that's enough. Matt, thank you very much for joining me on this one live on Sunday evening. Thanks to those who tuned in live with us on YouTube and get involved in the comments. Somebody replied not long ago saying, how much have I missed? About half an hour or so by that point. So hopefully go back to the start and have a listen. If you're catching up not live, you can scroll down to the comments and share your thoughts on all the things we've talked about this evening. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, there are ways for you to get involved in the show as well. There's a comments section on Spotify, and there's a review system on Apple Podcasts. 5 stars, not to beg, would be very nice. Thanks all for watching. We'll be doing a Q&A on Monday and the Celtic preview Tuesday, so plenty of stuff coming your way. Cheers. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Bye-bye.